From Scripps Sports, this is Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to the Griz Insider here on the Montana Television Network. Alongside the voice of the Griz, Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen, and we are your hosts, and we are back because that means college football is officially almost back in Missoula, and we've been waiting long enough, Riley. Just fired up to have the Grizzlies back this week against Central Washington and getting this thing going. First of all, how you doing, and what are you most excited for now that we're back?
Oh, Kyle, it is great to be back on set, just see all the familiar faces, and to be doing this with you each and every week. We'll have a blast chronicling just Grizzly football to everyone, and I feel that this year the excitement is higher than normal, Kyle, because I feel that us, along with a lot of Griz Nation, are going to learn about the team together. There's a lot of new faces. Coach Hauck will tell you that these new faces have been here for a while, which is good for the continuity of this team. But to learn the new faces and the new names and maybe see the position groups that will surprise us a bit, I'm just so fired up, Kyle. I mean, we have been talking about this 8 home game schedule for a while, 12-game season. It kind of aligns for the Grizzlies this year on paper. We'll see how it happens when they put it all together. But how about you? Biggest point, what will get you the most excited for the season?
Honestly, just to kind of see the new guys, right? Because you just look at this team, and that's kind of been the exciting part of it. When they were building the roster, the transfers were coming in, the up-and-coming guys that we've kind of known about the last year or two, maybe, that you're like, well, he could be good, maybe he's just not quite ready. I'm just excited for just some new faces, right? Because it's been a lot of fun the last couple of years. Same guys. Obviously, there was the run to Frisco, watching some seniors break some records last year. It was a lot of fun to watch that group, but that's the kind of the exciting part of college football is the unknown, right? And I think this team offers plenty of that. And we'll go ahead and start with the unknown, with the defense, because I think everybody looks at that defensive unit. Only a couple of guys with starts, but no true starters really back on this defense. A lot of transfers, some up-and-coming guys, especially in that linebacker room. When you look at this defense, in your mind, what stands out the most?
Kyle, there's no way to get around it. This is a revamped defense. Whether you're going to hear about from the coaching staff or not, this is a retooled Grizzly defense. They went and got a ton of talent in the transfer portal, and I think what really happened for Montana is there were a bunch of recruiting classes that got piled up into one, and they had so much graduation last year, so many holes to fill, that they went out and attacked the transfer portal. And maybe one of the biggest differences from last year to the previous years, they had more time to assess the transfer portal. They weren't going to Frisco, so they had more time in December to do that. With that being said, I love the fits that they have, especially at linebacker. I feel they're extremely deep there. The secondary has some new names. Micah Harper from BYU, one that certainly rises to the forefront. I get fired up when talking about this Grizzly defense because it has the identity of what we used to see with Grizzly defenses in years past.
100%. You look at that linebacker group as well, and a couple of guys who are going to be back from injury, where your Kellen Dietrichs at defensive end, or your Gino Leonards at linebacker, who will be joining us here later on the show as well. I'm excited to see those guys back in the fold because those are the kind of the glue that you need, guys who've been here the whole time. You know, Diesel Wilkinson has really stood out to me at safety as well. I'm really excited to see these guys. It's interesting seeing so many new faces, but watching them at camp, I think, they've been flying around and very, very exciting. And you turn the page and look over on the offensive side, there are a couple guys back. Obviously, that running back room, you really couldn't ask for a better situation, obviously, with Malai Fonati backing up Eli Gilman coming off the season he just had. Quarterback's always going to be a question mark, but I think Ayat's looked really good as well. Just in your mind, what's kind of stood out about the offense?
Yeah, I think that everybody wants to gravitate towards the quarterbacks right away, and I think Keali'i Ayat, he looks a year older. He looks more mature. He looks in command of the offense, and I think that anyone would, being just in the sense of being around the program, and he really had a good offseason. I'm excited to see where Keali'i is at, and then we know the strength is certainly in the running game with Gilman, Fonoti. Not only that, Stevie Rocker Jr., a senior that can kind of do it all out of the backfield. Justin Green feels he's extremely deep there. Is the offensive line going to live up to the hype? We'll see. 12 experienced players, 7 of them being seniors on paper. That looks great. The wide receiving core, I know that's a group that you and I have been focusing on at practice the last couple of weeks. You don't know the names yet, but you will, because these guys are extremely talented, and they've got a really good mix there.
Young talent at wide receiver, and some of the veterans looking really good. A couple of new faces at tight end as well. It's going to be a lot of fun with those transfers in the mix. And we've got a great show for you here on the debut episode of the Griz Insider. We're going to take a short break, but on the other side, Riley will catch up with head coach Bobby Hauck.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
And welcome back to the season debut of the Griz Insider. Getting ready to talk with head football coach Bobby Hauck as he enters year number 14, leading his alma mater. Coach, the excitement level is always at an all-time high as we get going here the first week of September. How's camp been? How's the lead up been to get ready for this season?
You know, I really like our team. I like the work ethic. I think they've practiced and prepared really hard. So I like these guys. I love training camp. It's just football dawn to dusk. You just get to, you show up in the morning, you go home after dark, and it's football all day. And I think our team embraced that and had good preparation.
Coach, when you are driving to maybe the practice field each day or just driving to work, how much do you maybe get a second to reflect? Year 14 here at your alma mater, all of the records that we get to talk about and have fun with week to week, but just to sit back on the perspective of leading your alma mater for the 14th year, do you ever sit back and reflect just a second on it, Coach?
You know, I'll tell you this, I get to do that when I'm with you, which is the time. I don't really do that when I'm on my own or on my own time. I always have other stuff going on. So it's kind of fun talking about it. I can't believe it's 14 years. I think this could be a good one, too. Leading up to it, our preparation's been good. Now, you have to go play them, right? Yep. But we've done the things we need to do to try to ensure we have a good season.
And certainly we'll talk about Central Washington, the opener coming up at 6 o'clock this Saturday already for the Grizzlies. But, Coach, when you just talk about the makeup of your roster and just how you put this team together, things that get you excited about the makeup of your team, offense, defense, we can kind of start wherever, just maybe the mindset of this group, the competitiveness and fire have been on display during fall camp.
Well, you know, you mentioned 14 years, and over that time span, things have changed. How you put a program together, how you put a team together. It used to be very long-term program planning. Now it's kind of January to August, get that team together and go. But the one thing that's never changed is developing young men, creating competitive scenarios, and developing competitiveness and toughness and detail and all the different things that go into winning football. So none of that's ever changed. The best thing about getting to August is we get back to doing that, and I think our guys have embraced it.
Certainly, Coach. And then you look at your opponent in Central Washington. I know that it's one of the unique parts of maybe not playing in week one is that you got to see your opponent play their first game. So just kind of the thoughts on Central Washington, what stood out to a veteran head coach and a lot of returning talent.
Certainly a lot of returning talent. Yeah. They always have good players. You know, every year they have guys that are going to NFL, going to NFL camps. I mean, their safety last year's with the Seahawks. I mean, they just have guys, and they have a way of getting players in there. They do a good job of mining different areas of the region and getting guys that want a chance to play. We're familiar with some of the kids on their team. You know, the Juergens kid at wide receiver is a really good player. The running backs are good. The quarterback's a veteran. You know, so they've got guys. But the one thing that stood out to me from their game is that they looked really sharp, which I would expect nothing less from a team coached by Chris Fisk. He does a great job. He's thorough, he's detailed, he's got a good staff, and they looked really sharp to me, and they won in a dominating fashion.
And we certainly saw Central Washington the last time inside Washington Grizzly Stadium was during that spring shortened season. They were one of the two games along with Portland State. Final question for you, Coach. When you kind of assess the Big Sky, assess your schedule, how many unknowns are out there, and how ridiculous is it maybe to even prognosticate down the road when you're at the 1 week at a time approach?
You know, it stuck out in my mind when we were at the league meetings and doing the media day stuff that people want to talk about the schedule, and nobody knows their own team, let alone anybody else. I mean, we have no idea. There's so much turnover in college football on everybody's roster that we have no idea who's got what. You know, I couldn't name you 3 players on any other Big Sky team. It's just the way it is. And I think we'll get a feel for that over the first month of the season. It'll be fun to talk about both here on the show and then on Wednesday nights on the radio show. And I think it'll be really enjoyable to figure out who's got what. But we have no idea at this point, and I think that's maybe the new excitement in college football. There's a lot of unknown, and it's probably healthy for the game.
It'll be a new adventure, and we'll go through it week by week here on the Griz Insider, here for you. Coach Hauck, enjoy that run out of the tunnel on Saturday.
All right, man,
okay?
I can't wait.
All right, it'll be great. 6 o'clock on Saturday night against Central Washington. On the other side of the break here on the Griz Insider, Kyle Hansen will catch up with senior linebacker Gino Leonard.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back into the Griz Insider as we kick off the season with the Montana Grizzlies getting set to take on Central Washington, and we're very excited to be joined by senior linebacker Gino Leonard right now, the Missoula native. And Gino, first of all, so great to have you here. Thanks for being here, and you finally get to hit somebody else, right? To speak to that excitement and kind of getting this thing rolling.
Yeah, I know. I think we're fired up. It was a great camp. I think we got better. We got a lot better, and like you said, we beat up on each other, which is good. But yeah, we're excited to play someone in a different color jersey and just keep getting better as a team.
You are a guy who's obviously been here from the very start. One of the talks of the team this year has been the transfers, right? And a lot of new faces and guys who, from watching camp, have assimilated well into this program. So speak to what it's been like with so many new faces, especially on defense, right? No starters coming back, a couple of guys who've started a few games, but you guys are bringing in a lot of new faces and a lot of opportunity. What's it been like so far?
It's been great. I mean, we have great leaders. We have great coaches, too. So I think that, we have a tremendous culture, and we want to keep that the main thing and the traditions. And I think these transfers that all came in, they haven't missed a beat yet, and everybody's on the same page, which has been phenomenal. They're easy guys to work with, and I think, we've just came together great, and we're playing great football. So
as you guys get that off-season work too, how big was that? It's kind of leading into fall camp where maybe there wasn't too many stepping stones where guys maybe could kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, a lot of people were reaching out, every single position group, and it was great to have the bubble as a resource. We'd go meet up, we'd do walkthroughs, quarterbacks and receivers always throwing balls together. Us defensive guys were in there watching film together. So I think everyone was excited to get everyone on the same page quickly. So we just come together and hit this thing running. So
obviously you guys are playing against the offense, but you get a chance to kind of look at them too. Some new faces there, but some guys back as well. Obviously that running back room, you guys are probably excited to watch other people try and tackle those guys. But what's it been like kind of watching the offense as well and kind of doing their thing too?
It's great. I mean, it's always a competition with those guys at practice, and I think we all love that too. So I mean, I think those guys are making us better. We're making them better, and every day having the opportunity to do something like that with some of the best in the country is great. And, our offense coaches, our defense coaches, it's always like I said, a competition. So every day it's fun. Iron sharpens iron. So.
For you as a guy, as a senior on this team, just entering your last fall camp, what was it like for you mentally and kind of approaching that, knowing that it's kind of everything's, it's the first of lasts, right? What was it like for you kind of getting this started?
It's good. I mean, I just kind of going at it with that perspective. Like you said, I don't get to do, I only get so many opportunities to do some of these things. So, I mean, I'm really just trying to cherish all these moments. And me and the guys I came in with in my freshman class, same thing. I think we've really worked together on, taking this thing head on and doing everything we can to make it, our best year and really go out with a bang and do everything we can. So
I think a lot of us here locally in Missoula are really excited to see you take the field.
Yeah.
We got a chance to watch you obviously at Sentinel High School. You guys broke that long drought with the state championship back in the COVID season in 2020. And then we've watched you over the years. We've been like, Gino's going to kind of crack through, and obviously some injuries have, hindered you a little bit. And, we look at last year, right? There were some injuries, but then once you played, I mean, you were making an impact. So for you just to kind of get this opportunity and enter a season, just you ever take a minute to kind of think about, the work you've put in to kind of get to this point?
Yeah, definitely. It's, the Lord gave me an opportunity and a lot of challenges, which has been phenomenal. I faced a lot of adversity, but with my coaches, my teammates, the training staff at the university, Shalyn, my PT, Tim Messer, all those guys, their strength coach, they all got me back, and always an opportunity that arose. And I kind of knew that I was the only person that was going to stop myself. So if I ever said this is too much and was done, that'd be it. But I mean, I just always kind of kept breaking through it and trying my best, and finally kind of opportunities arose. And now I'm kind of in the position where just got to be thankful to be healthy and waiting for those opportunities. Like you said, just start playing and playing well. So
when it came to last year, when you were kind of cracking the field, looking at when you're playing Montana State, the playoff games and things like that, and you were making tackles, making plays, and getting into the defensive rotation, what was it like kind of seeing that first big defensive minutes?
No, it was awesome. It was a blast. I mean, it was something that kind of blew my mind too. I mean, it's funny, high school you're nervous for games, college at the beginning of your career you're kind of nervous that even if you don't know if you're going to go in the game. I was totally calm. It was one of those weird things where it was funny. The first drive I went in, one of my teammates, Ryan, he's looking at me. He's like, "Are you going in?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You gotta calm down. You're freaking out." Like, I feel pretty good, man. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's especially with the preparation we do. You're prepared to go out there and execute. So I know my coaches had me in the right situations to go make the plays, and they happened, and just had to do my job. So and just kind of keep executing that way.
Shout out to Ryan Tyrrell, the Missoula guy, making sure his Missoula guy is taken care of.
Yeah.
One final question for you here, Gino, is obviously as you get the senior year ready to kick off against Central Washington, for you, just from your perspective, what's the most you're trying to squeeze out of it? Because obviously there's team goals, there's aspirations, there's trophies you guys are chasing in week by week and things like that. But for you, what are you trying to squeeze out of this final run?
No, just like you said, winning every game on the schedule, having fun with my teammates. That's the biggest thing. Just cherishing this last season and executing the way. I mean, we've put so much work in these past 4 to 5 years, and every guy, our coaches, they spend so much time working on this thing with us. So I think it'd be obviously we want to win games and we want to be successful. So I think that's our goal, and that's what we want to do and cherish every moment we can.
No doubt about it. Can't wait to see you suit up this Saturday. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Coming up, Riley will rejoin me here on the Griz Insider after the break.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back into the Griz Insider. Thanks again so much for joining us for our debut episode as we get you fired up for the Montana Grizzlies football season. Great stuff there from Bobby Hauck and Gino Leonard. And Riley, now we turn the page a little bit to the league as a whole. Obviously, the Big Sky, one of the top 2 leagues in the FCS, putting a team in the national championship game the last several years. And the Big Sky is going to be a tough gauntlet again this year, both for the Grizzlies, but then the league-wide as a whole. So when you kind of look at this league and some of the teams that stand out, there's some new coaches in the mix, but some of these teams I don't think are really going to miss a beat.
I don't think so either, Kyle. And the league, to me, has only strengthened over the last decade, and I would say it's strengthened more at the middle and even towards the bottom, to where there's not many easy or gimme games in the league. And that's a credit to the coaches and just the competition around the league. This year specifically, I looked at it as maybe a top half, bottom half, kind of a split with who your contenders are going to be, who might be lurking in the weeds. But there's a lot of teams. Idaho State, they're kind of an X-Factor team in the middle. Idaho with the new coach. Sacramento State, I feel they're the X factor in the country. What's going to happen with Sac State? They have the talent on paper to maybe go 12-0, but they also went 3-9 last year, and who knows if they can figure it out this quickly. So a lot of X factor teams, and I'm kind of in the middle. To me, there's 3 contenders, and it's the 2 schools here in Montana, Montana State, Montana, and UC Davis. I think we saw them a bit last week against Mercer. I know the game didn't count, very bizarre. They played 3.5 quarters before it was resulted in a no contest, but they looked the part. They look like a top 10 team. So I just think this league, it's wide open, as it usually is, and it somewhat depends on maybe who you don't play in the schedule rotation. I do know maybe by mid-October things will get even out a bit, but you were the one on the ground floor at Big Sky meetings in Spokane. What stood out to you? Maybe who had that extra juice or extra momentum? Who feels good about their team?
I think you're spot on with a lot of these teams, in general, especially with the contenders and whatnot. Out of the gates, a team that stood out was UC Davis and Tim Plow. I mean, just in his second year leading this program, and you lose a guy like Lan Larison and you lose a vet like Miles Hastings at quarterback, what's going to happen, right? Because he kind of walks into a good situation. How are they going to adjust without them? And then you watch them in that Mercer game and you look at the new quarterback who is unbelievable. Rex Connors is just insane on the defensive side, totally deserving of preseason defensive player of the year. I saw Davis, and even talking to him, I was like, they're not going to miss a beat. There's unknowns surrounding the Bobcats because they lose a lot as well. Like, who is going to fill the shoes of a Tommy Millott, of a Brody Greavy?
Big shoes.
Huge shoes, absolutely. And then the Grizzlies, unknowns surrounding them, as we've talked about. But then you look around the rest of the league. Idaho, how are they going to do without Jason Eck and Thomas Ford? Everybody's very excited about him, and they look good as well. But Idaho State, we were talking a little bit off camera. X Factor, dark horse, something about the Bengals this year, and Cody Hawkins, he's just perfect for this gig.
He's perfect for the gig. They nearly beat UNLV last week. We know how good Jordan Cook is at quarterback. Everyone talked about Pennington returning for NAU.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, Jordan Cook might be the best returning quarterback in all the league. So watch out for Idaho State.
Yeah.
Grizzlies always have a tough, pesky road game there, too, first week in October.
100%. First road game of the year for them, too, as well. And then NAU, as you mentioned, playoff team a year ago. How are they going to adjust? And obviously, it's going to be really fun to watch these teams because, like you said, the bottom half, maybe in Eastern Washington nips somebody. Weber State, Sac State. How are they going to block out all this noise? I mean, it's just, it's a lot of fun storylines. It's so weird with non-conference, too, because you're just like, I'm just ready to get to conference play.
And it feels like there's such a variation in non-conference schedule. Some teams might go through the gauntlet, some teams might not. And so we really don't know much until the first week of conference.
No doubt about it. It's going to be a lot of fun in the Big Sky this season. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show next on the Griz Insider. Well, at long last, football is back in the Garden City as the Montana Grizzlies get set to kick off their season on Saturday against Central Washington at 6 p.m. And Riley, we're finally here. We're ready to get this thing going.
We've made it to game week. The long wait, and even one extra week. Just Villanova and Montana had to wait that extra week, Kyle. But so fired up for Saturday. Doing some prep. There's some parallels to when Central Washington came to town 2008. Grizz fans might remember that was a close one inside Washington Grizzly Stadium. Montana won it, of course, made it all the way to the national championship game. We'll see if that could be in the cards again for Montana this year. Saturday, though, plenty of options to get your Grizz fix. Our radio broadcast begins at 4 o'clock on the Grizzly Radio Network. Make sure to join us then. And then, once kickoff happens, plenty of options for you and fired up about your guys' new team.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we're really excited to carry the games once again for the Montana Grizzlies, Montana State Bobcats, and the entire Big Sky Conference here at Scripps Sports. Trey Bender and Jordan Tripp, the new play-by-play and color commentary for our games, and I'm excited to be joining them on the sidelines as well. And as Riley mentioned, 6 p.m. kickoff, lots of options options to get all of your Griz fix as they officially kick off the season. And we'll be right back here next week to break it all down on the Griz Insider. For Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.